Like you fire all of the United States attorneys when you come into office. It's the same kind of thing. It's the politics, you know, of show business. And they will do that. They will look at something and go, oh, well, that would be a #1 show for 10 years. But it was his idea, it was his baby, and all of his babies go, regardless. Because you don't want to get a bunch of shows going and then they say, oh, you're having some success, but I noticed they're all by the old people. And I wonder if they might want to come back and be head of the network again, because, and so they, just to protect themselves, they'll do a scorched earth policy and fire everybody and replace everybody with, you know, cronies and less talented individuals that they happen to know personally. And that's, you know, it's the way of the world in a lot of areas with show business or politics or whatnot. And it's definitely that way in network television and the studios that make films. They don't want the people who are just there to have had a good idea. And they will also go way out of their way, and this happened to us at the end, to sort of sabotage the success. One story, I just told this recently to friends of mine who don't know show business at all, you know, in my new home, and we were talking about Jericho and how can a show be so popular, and it's the only show I watch, and why would they? And so I was telling them about, of course, Beauty and the Beast, and how long we asked for promotional billboards, and how they finally gave us promotional billboards that said Friday night at 8 o'clock, and they put them up on the week that they moved the show to, what was it, Monday nights? Yeah. All right, so I mean the billboards went up all over the country saying Thursday at 8 o'clock. Now, why are you doing this? Why are you saying please tune in and watch this at this time? And then the people are tuning in, and I don't know what they got at that time, but it wasn't Beauty and the Beast. And they also moved us so often and preempted so often that we would get letters. I got 2 or 3 that actually said, this was one of the most wonderful television specials I've ever seen. I must have come in through after an hour had passed. What was this Hallmark Hall of Fame, or what was it, and how do I find it so I can see it again? And he would reply with, please watch it every week, it's a television series. And people didn't even know this, even people who were seeing it, because they weren't promoting it. And they weren't promoting it because of power struggles.
Also, they don't get it.
And they didn't get it. They would like to have something out of their way that they don't understand.
Well, I understand that after the promotional billboards went up, they disappeared too.
Well, they did because they had the wrong day on them.
No, I mean the fans took them.
Oh, the fans took them down? Well, that's the spirit, you know, who's here for that. Everything that happened with y'all, you know, all that stuff with taking stuff, and like, oh, well, there were a couple of, back in the day when such things could be taken somewhat lightly, there were bomb threats, and you know, they blamed Mouse. And of course, I didn't make any of that stuff up, but they sort of blamed me, you know, because I was Mouse. And it's like, no, 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 George R. R. Martin wrote those lines. He's the one who gave me plastiques. And wasn't my thought at all. But the character they were not that fond of, because it sort of had inspired people to take some action. I liked it.
Well, that's the thing. Some fans take these characters so seriously. They believe that they're out there in the world doing their thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, none of us here. No. Vincent's, of course, Vincent's real, and he's selling real estate in Marina Del Rey right now, doing very, very well. He's about to upgrade to a 10-bedroom, getting a lion's share. That's okay, we need that sort of thing, you know, and it's usually, however, your better half that does that particular kind of joke. They don't have that much written in advance. What you have is where you're going. You have the ideas. This will happen and this will happen. They'll call that making a story arc. And then all the cumulative information they call the Bible of the show. So, you know, like the information that says Vincent does not purr or Mouse talks in that particular way. These are like elements of the Bible of the show. But the story arc is what they'll have coming into a season. They know where we're starting, they know where we're going, and they know sort of what the middle points are, but they might not really have anything written at all. And the one thing that's, you know, with television, particularly American television, because in the UK a lot of times there'll be an author writing a series, and you know it's by this one person or by two people, and sometimes it's even credited as, you know, by Ben Elton and that sort of thing. In the UK here, that's not the case, and the writing is not done in advance, and they sort of do it as they go along. But they have an idea. So you might have, at the beginning of the season, you might have show 1 and 2, and somebody working on show 3. But show 20, you're just, you know, really basically praying to God. If you ever see any of the DVDs that are behind the scenes on Seinfeld, you'll see Larry David talking incessantly about the mixed blessing of being picked up, because the more years they went on, and he's a very funny man, of course, so he makes it very funny, but he's saying the first year they had the pilot, and he didn't know how they were going to come up with 20. And at the end, he kind of wanted them to pick it up, of course, because there's the money and everything, but when they did, he said, hey, I just laid down in my bed and started crying. How are we going to come up with 20 more? And then it happened year after year. How are you going to come up? It's not something that the writers are even saying, oh yeah, we'll do another 20. They're saying, well, make us a deal. We'll take the money and then we'll go, there's 22 of these. And I think it's particularly hard for people writing comedy, like Seinfeld or something, because you're going, well, I keep coming up with funny that's not stupid. When you have a show like Beauty and the Beast or another dramatic series, you can get that story arc, and it's not based on coming up with clever lines, it's based on coming up with good story. So if you know how your story begins and ends, you're pretty confident that you can evolve it in that direction until they come fire everybody and say, you know, we love Batman.